I've seen it 100 times now. You scroll through glossy Amazon listings, click on a picture that looks like a tiny cinema screen, and then the box finally lands on your coffee table only to feel underwhelming. That moment of hesitation, that little voice that says, will it really live up to the hype, is what brought me to the LG OLED Evo G2. If you're wondering whether the 83-inch model actually justifies the price tag, stick around. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first unwrapped the G2, the first thing I noticed was the sleek gallery frame. It's not just a design flourish, the minimalist bezel really does let the picture dominate the room, which matters if you're trying to make a statement in a living room that already feels crowded with furniture. The moment you power it on, the i9 Gen 5 AI processor kicks in, and you can immediately tell that the TV is trying to do more than just display a picture. The processor upscales everything to true 4K, and because it's an OLED Evo panel, the contrast looks deeper than most LED sets I've tested. That means a dark scene in a thriller actually feels like you're sitting in the middle of the action, not watching a dimly lit flat panel. Now, let's talk real-world usage. I set up the G2 in a typical suburban home, a 12-foot viewing distance, 2 kids who love cartoons, a partner who streams movies on Netflix, and a gaming console that's used at least 3 nights a week. The first thing I did was calibrate the picture using the built-in AI, which scans the room's lighting and adjusts brightness and color temperature on the fly. In a sunlit living room that morning, the TV automatically pulled back the brightness a notch, keeping the whites from looking washed out. By evening, as the lights dimmed, it cranked up the contrast just enough to make those midnight blues feel richer. That adaptive behavior is a real convenience. You won't have to constantly tweak settings every time the sun sets. What really separates the G2 from the sea of 4K TVs is the ultimate gaming mode. When I hooked up my PlayStation 5, the TV switched to a 120Hz refresh rate and turned on variable refresh rate, VRR, without any extra configuration. In practice, that means fast-paced shooters felt smoother, and there was noticeably less input lag compared to my older 60Hz set. The low-latency mode also reduced the delay to under 10 milliseconds, which is the kind of performance you notice when you're trying to land a headshot at the last second. For anyone who doesn't game, that mode sits quietly in the background, never interfering with movie watching or TV shows. But every bright spot comes with a trade-off. The OLED panel, while delivering perfect blacks, does have a risk of image retention if you leave static UI elements on the screen for too long. I ran the TV for a few days with a news channel's ticker at full brightness, and after about 8 hours I noticed a faint ghost of the ticker. LG's Pixel Refresher feature helped clear it when I ran the routine, but it's a reminder that you'll need to be mindful of static content. If your household watches a lot of news or sports with persistent score graphics, you may want to schedule the refresher more often. Another practical consideration is size versus room dimensions. The 83-inch diagonal is impressive, but that also means the TV commands a lot of wall space. In a room with lower ceilings or smaller wall real estate, you might need to forego the gallery frame aesthetic and mount the TV slightly lower to avoid a monster-on-the-wall vibe. I found a compromise by tilting the mount a few degrees upward, which kept the viewing angle comfortable while still letting the frame sit flush with the wall. Audio-wise, the G2 supports Dolby Cinema and WiSA Ready, so it can drive a wireless home theater system without a separate soundbar. In my setup, I paired it with a WiSA 5.1 system, and the result was a surprisingly immersive soundstage for an 83-inch screen. The built-in speakers are decent for everyday TV, but if you want cinema-grade audio, you'll still need that external system. The good news? The TV's Alexa integration means you can control the volume, change inputs, or power the whole setup with voice alone, which cuts down on the number of remotes you need to juggle. Now, who should actually consider spending this amount on an 83-inch OLED? First, families that spend evenings binge-watching series or have a home theater vibe. The expansive screen and deep blacks create a viewing experience that rivals a small theater, making weekend movie nights feel special. Second, serious gamers who value ultra-smooth motion and low input lag will appreciate the 120Hz panel and VRR support. If you own the latest console or high-end PC, the G2 will let you extract every frame the hardware can push. Finally, tech-savvy users who enjoy voice-controlled ecosystems will find the Alexa integration and AI picture adjustments a nice, hands-free fit into their smart home. Conversely,